Evening, everybody, and welcome to Transitional Radio, the home of Brian Brody's All Natural Being, IPM Nation's Sneak Speaks, Lee Rawley's Copy That Speaks, and this, the 36th episode of Thinking Re-envisioned. Hi, everybody. I am Henry G. Noel, your host for Thinking Re-envisioned. We are here to make you think, here to make you question, to question everything. Now, we're broadcasting live from our uplink studios in Cuenca, Ecuador. And we are broadcasting live on IPMNation.com, Thinking Re-envision's Facebook and YouTube pages. And I wish to thank all of our listeners from around the globe for tuning in to us on live radio, those listening to our rebroadcasts, and you, our fly-on-the-wall video listeners, for taking the time to tune in. I would also like to thank our good friends at Wirecast for making it possible for us to be broadcasting both live and globally. To all of our listeners who wish to participate in this show, email me at henry@henrygnoel.com. It is my desire to present a show where everyone can be as actively involved as they wish. Now, we trust you've had an enjoyable Wednesday thus far, and I am hoping that that will continue. I wish to thank you for joining me this evening. Tonight, I'd like to continue discussing what it means to mortal up. You know, we hear Brian talk about this all the time, mortaling up, and we talk about it this evening and every evening. And I thought it might be beneficial for us to delve into what it takes to mortal up. Why is it we are so concerned with what others might think or say when it comes to us living our lives the way we wish to live it? Or is it we honestly have no idea how we wish to live our lives? So let's just get into the thread and let's just talk about it and see what it brings for us. I'm going to go ahead and refresh and hopefully bring it up, and we can go ahead and get into the thread. And I want to thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate it. And I am going to go through and see what we've got. But yes, we're planning a great show tomorrow evening. Thanks to the very wonderful willingness and openness of Jeffrey Castle, a renowned violinist, electric violinist, six-string violinist actually, and he is just absolutely phenomenal. So please, if you get a chance, tune in, and it'll be a 45-minute show. And thanks to Brian, he's giving up 15, 16 minutes of his show in order for me to go ahead and do this interview. And so I'm really appreciative of that, and I thank you very much for doing that. So again, thank you very much, Brian. I really do appreciate it. But yes, it's not every day you get an opportunity to be able to talk and meet with someone of the caliber of the talent that Jeffrey is, and so to bring that to y'all from Cuenca, I am really looking forward to it. So we'll see how things go and see what all we can do. So anyway, I want to thank everybody again for tuning in and sticking with us. I do thank you very much. And what I wanted to go ahead and talk tonight about, again, continue with what it is to mortal up. Brian talks about it all the time. Good evening, Matt. How are you? It's nice to see you. and thank you, Rita, for being there. Wayne, of course, always thank you so much for tuning in. And again, thanks, Matt, for jumping in on here. I appreciate it. But yeah, we have a great show planned for tomorrow. At least I'm hoping that it does come together. And obviously there are things can get in the way, but I'm hoping that it'll all pan out and everything will work out just the way it's supposed to. So again, I appreciate you guys joining and tuning in tomorrow. And tonight we're continuing to talk about mortaling up, what it is to mortal up, and why it is that we give all of our concerns, our fears, to someone else to control us. And Lee, good evening. I'm looking forward to your show tomorrow night. I really am. So thank you very much for joining us and tuning in tonight. Thank you. And so I can't wait. Brian keeps talking about it, and I'm excited. We are going to see what we can do about trying to pull all of this stuff together tomorrow and hopefully get it done. I mean, I actually have to move equipment around and get things reset up in a place where actually two of us can fit, which will be really kind of nice, and being a little bit more comfortable over an atmosphere. So anyway, we'll see how things go. Yeah, talking about modeling up, and Brian refers to it all the time, and he mentioned the story with David and Goliath, and about about having that confidence in yourself, and regardless of where it is that we think we have to get the confidence or we have to get the trust, we have to believe in ourselves. Bottom line. Diego, good evening, and thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Hopefully, we get to see you tomorrow. It'll be great. Um, it's up to us. If we can trust ourselves, we can believe in ourselves. We don't need anybody else. We have that trust. We have that faith in ourselves. And I think that that's what a large part of the problem is that we face, is we rely so much on other things to give us faith, to give us belief, to give us trust, that we don't take it from ourselves. We don't place that respect, that trust, that faith in ourselves, and that's where we fail. It's almost like we're afraid to do it. We're afraid to take that extra step. We're afraid to volunteer. We're afraid to raise our hand because somebody might see us and might call on us, and oh my God, we can't have that. That's really, really hard to do. Hi, right back at you, Diego. It is so good to see that. See your icon on here. Thanks again. I appreciate you joining in. And I find it interesting that we talk a great talk about, the things that we find faith in, but we're not one of those things. It might be a religious book, or it might be the Constitution, or it might be some other political document. But we never talk about having faith in ourselves. We never talk about believing in ourselves. We never mention that. And I think that that's part of the problem, part of the diversion that we're wrapped up in, the things that take us away from ourselves. I mean, to mortal up is a simple thing. To just not be concerned with what somebody else is going to say, to live your life the way you wish to live it, to not be hemmed in and feel condemned because of what someone else says or thinks. I mean, this is the bully trying to take over, and that's what we do as adults. We are bullied into submission. Literally, we're afraid. We get hurt. Our feelings get hurt. Somebody hurts. That's being bullied. We allow ourselves to be bullied, and we have to stop that. I mean, that's something that shouldn't be going on with children. Certainly should not be happening with adults. But we just don't have the faith, the confidence, the trust in ourselves to really get out there and just say, no, this is my life. I'm going to do it my way. This is the way I want to do it. And I don't know if it's because of our upbringing, if we've been taught to don't make waves, don't get the spotlight put on you, sit in the back, don't get yourself out there. I don't know what it is that causes us to do that, and to have the thin skin, and to feel that we can't live our life the way we want to live it, and have that trust and faith in ourselves. And yet we talk about going into the Bible or to the Quran or to the Torah in order to have faith, to find our morals, to find out why. Trust in us, trust in ourselves. That's where it is. And that's the guide that we want. And one of the questions or statements that had come up yesterday was, so where do you go? If not, for going to a religious text, or where is it that you go to get your faith, your trust? Where does your beliefs come in? I go to me. I trust in what I know, what I have learned, and what I have reassessed and gone through and tore down and stripped away, because it's really important that we believe in ourselves. That is probably the one and only belief system we really need to have, is belief in ourselves. And that alone is worth taking the attempt, trying the darndest to get out there and get into the real world and do what needs to really be done, and not worry about what somebody thinks, what somebody says, or take a a comment from someone or a criticism from someone and take it to heart and you feel bad about it. That's just not the way it's supposed to be. And so I think that that's really where we need to really look at ourselves, really need to reflect in that mirror to see what is it really that we are doing. Are we really fearful of what somebody might say, or is it we simply do not understand ourselves enough? We really don't know ourselves enough to trust ourselves and to believe in ourselves. That's up to you guys. That's the question out to you all. What is it that keeps us so hemmed in? Is it the other people that keep us hemmed in, or are we hemming ourselves in simply by not believing in ourselves? So, and you, regardless of where you are in the world, wherever you are out there, it doesn't. To me, it's up to you to have the chutzpah to simply say, I'm living my life the way on my terms, not your terms. If it involves the disrespect or the condemnation of someone else, why should we do it? We don't need to fit in, and I think that's part of the problem. We are taught, and it's broadcast to us constantly that we have to fit in. Society is the mainstay, and we have to fit within society's paradigms, and that's bullcrap. We don't have to do that. We don't have to conform, and I think that that's the game being played on us, is this whole pushing and relying on us to conform and not simply live our belief system, our beliefs, our trust, and that's where we have to go. We really do need to do that, and Brian brings it up all the time. When do you step up? When do you step out of that stone? When do you present yourself as the mark, as the goal, as the way you're supposed to be living? And trust in what your beliefs are. To trust in your beliefs, in yourself, not in your belief systems, but the belief in yourself, because that should be the only belief system we deal with, is us, ourselves. And so that's where we go, and that is the question out there. That's why I wanted to go ahead and try to get it out there and continue with it from yesterday, because I think it's very important. If people are really trying to change, if people are really trying to get a better understanding of who they are, trying to really define their shining moments, they have to be honest with themselves. And I think a large part of the problem is we don't know who we are. We really don't have a clue, because we have been so raised with all of this programming, all of this other stuff that John refers to constantly, that it's the programming. We've been programmed to do this. So when do we step away from it? When is it that we actually open our eyes and admit that we have been programmed, that we have been taught, we have been convinced that the societal norms is what's important, and it's not your feelings that's important. It's what society thinks, and if society thinks you're a fraud, or they think that you don't rate, then they condemn you and criticize you, and they do everything they can to hurt your feelings. So why let them? As Brian says, why let them? Kick the doors down. It's time to grow up. It's time to become mortal. Time to face the brutal. Do what we need to do it. Hi, Alice. Good evening. How are you? Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you showing up. Thank you so much. And we're kind of continuing from a discussion yesterday that we had about what it is to mortal up. Brian refers to it all the time as to bringing on your own bold and your all natural being and mortaling up. And so exactly what is it that we mean by mortaling up? But at the same time, why is it we have so much trouble mortaling up? Why is it we find it so difficult? And why is it we're so sensitive to what other people think and say, that we actually, we cut ourselves short in our own life because we don't have enough faith in ourselves. We don't have enough belief in ourselves to go against the grain, to do what we believe is the way we should do things rather than the way society says we should do them. Rita says, I think our upbringing has a lot to do with it. Kids need to be instilled with confidence that they can do anything they set their minds to do, to trust in themselves, not to follow, but to lead. Thank you, sweetie. I really appreciate that. That is perfectly stated. And it really is. You have, the kids today are our future leaders. Those are our corporate executives, our presidents and our senators and our religious leaders. The kids today, that's who's going to be leading us and giving us their direction. Wow, I tell you what, as messed up as a lot of them can be, that's our future leaders. And so we are going to be living laws that they create based on their upbringing. And if they have been browbeaten, bullied, even by their own parents bullied, what does that say about their character when it comes time to question what is right and what's wrong? We fall back and we say that we look at we look at religious texts to find our morals and our rights and wrongs. I don't think so. I think we turn to ourselves. We do know inherently the rights and wrongs. It's just what we have been taught that gets in the way. And that's what we have to really look at and really start focusing on. If we're going to mortal up, if we are going to bring on our bold and have our all natural being come out, then we have to know who we are. And that's in large part what the problem is. We have no clue who we are. We think we do, and we identify ourselves based on our learning, what we've been taught, and we have labeled that as ourselves, that this is who we are. And that is not even close to who we are. It is off in a totally wrong direction because so many of us have been browbeaten and told that we never will amount to anything, or that you're never be able to compete in the real world. Well, I'm sorry. Who defines what the real world is? I do. It's based on my perceptions. It's what I think is the real world. And it just doesn't necessarily mean the same as what you think the real world is, because it's your perceptions. And those perceptions were based on how we were raised and what we were taught and who we listened to. And that's why I'm saying once you can strip all of that away, then you start to think for yourself. It's not somebody else's thought. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been told, or especially many years ago, wow, you sound just like your father. Wow, that was my wake-up call. So I'm not living my life. I'm living his life. I'm not believing in my stuff. I'm believing in his stuff. So you have to make that decision at some point in time to live your own life and to believe in the things you believe in rather than what you have been taught. And so that's why the emphasis on this, because I know it's hard and it's very difficult. And I love Brian for it because he can come right out and show you, no, man, this is what it is. Somebody says, call me whatever you want to. I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings anything. I'll even call it for you if that's the case, whatever you want. So many of us can't do that. And there's no reason we can't. It's except because of the way we were raised. And that is what we have to break through. That's the barriers we have to break down. Because if we're going to really awaken, if we are really going to self-assess, self-renew, and self-improve ourselves, we better know who we ourselves are. Because all we're doing is conjuring this made-believe person who thinks this is who they are and not really truly who they are. And so that's why the emphasis is really there. It's so important that we understand that. It really is. And my whole goal here is to get people to try to understand that the thoughts that you have were probably from somebody else. The things that you believe in externally from yourself, the things that you believe in are from somebody else. You know, maybe it sounded good to you at the time, and so therefore you follow it now, even today. But you follow it without questioning. And that's not a good thing. That's unhealthy. And that's what we need to do. We have to question everything. That's why the motto that we use here, you know, we're here to make you think, you know, to think and question everything. Because everything that we think we are is somebody else's making. It was my parents, it was my teachers, it was my religious leaders, it was the politicians and the news that I used to watch. That's what created the person that I used to be. And that person had to go. That was just not who it was. I'm making decisions from that person, and I'm using what I was taught to make those decisions. Once you strip all that away, then you have only yourself to make those decisions. And if then it feels right, then you do it. And if it doesn't feel right, you don't do it. And you are then in control of yourself. And I make it sound like it's so simple. It is not. It is an extremely frustrating, extremely arduous journey to really delve into who you really are. Because there's so much of what you think you are that is so wrong. And you have to be thick-skinned enough to be able to accept that criticism. And that's the thing that I really had to work so many years on, in trying to break it down. And I knew my reactions were always the same. Somebody would say, no, that's the thinking that your parents would have had. And I would jump right up there and start defending it, saying, oh, no, that's not it. This is really the way it is. Well, I was wrong. It was my parents' thinking, or it was my teacher's thinking. And I had to admit that. And once I could admit it, then I could start stripping it away. And then I could start really looking at it. And the way it was presented to me when I was going through this was, I was told, Henry, just stop. Okay, just stop. Stop what? Stop everything. Okay, what do you mean, stop everything? I mean, I wrestled with this. This was really a tough thing for me to go through. And now I understand what it means to just stop. It's to stop the way you think, stop the way you believe, all the external things that you have as far as your belief systems are concerned. You know, we are not a political party affiliation. We are not a religion. We are not any of those things, although we believe we are in all of those. And yet we're not. That has nothing to do with who we are. And we do have who we are in there. We just have to delve in and go through all of the crap that we've placed on ourselves to find it. And once you find it, man, then it's wow, just stop. I got it. Just stop. Stop all this garbage. Stop all of this pushing. Stop all the stress. Stop all of the reasons that we create all the stress. Stop believing in all of those external things and start believing in yourself. Wow. Pretty interesting. And let me tell you, it works. It really does work. It's really an amazing change. The metamorphosis that's involved is just awe-inspiring when you start to really see yourself for who you really are. And it brings in, it redefines exactly what the world is. It changes your perceptions of everything. What all of a sudden, the things that you used to hate, hate doesn't even come into the vocabulary anymore. That's not even part of it anymore, because everything we base our hate on, our fears on, isn't real. It's all someone else's conjuring, and we fall for it every time. We just do. This is the way we were raised. And once you stop doing that, all of a sudden, nothing out there really matters, because it's all about what's inside of us. It's how we perceive this world. It's what do we get out of this world? What is the knowledge that we actually can ascertain from this world? Use that knowledge and create wisdom from it, rather than Constantly defend your position, defend your position, defend your position, be argumentative, defend your position, because you're right and you're right and you're right. And when you're right doesn't work, now you just got to make sure that you prove them wrong. That's not the way we live our life. That's not the way to live a life. That is just stress inducing. That is what creates all of the problems that we've got. That's why we're at war in 15 different countries right now. I mean, it's ridiculous that this is what it's all about. Somebody trying to do something and trying to prove their point first, and then when that fails, they have to prove someone else is wrong, just to justify their greed, their need to be in control. It's mind-boggling. But you actually get to see it all once you really understand that at the present we're part of the problem, and by changing those thoughts and changing the processes that we use to define who we are and what we're about, all that goes away. It all goes away. And we actually start to face ourselves and really start to learn who we are. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. So that's the kind of things I wanted you to take with you, at least this evening, to really kind of ponder it. Tomorrow evening, again, we have Jeffrey Castle. He's phenomenal. I'm hoping I can get him to perhaps play a song. We'll see what he'll do, what he's available to do. If he's coming in to just do an interview, he may not be doing that, but I'm hoping that we can do that, or at least run some of his music for him, because he is just unbelievable. What a talent, and just absolutely impressive. And so I'm hoping that you'll join me tomorrow and go through my very first interview on air. It'll be really kind of cool. I've never done an interview on air before, so this will be kind of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. It's just exciting for me. It really is. And so we'll see what happens. In fact, he's performing this evening. He's actually doing a concert right now, and so I'm really looking forward to it. And I'll see him tomorrow. But in the meantime, I wanted to leave you with that to think about. I'm kind of winding down here to about 3 minutes or so, well, 2.5 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and see what happens tomorrow. Thank you, bro. It's a totally different type of show. I'm not going to be sitting here preaching to you at all. I mean, it's going to be just a nice conversation with Jeffrey and myself. And see what you guys think about it. And if you get a chance, jump ahead of time and go to his website. It's www.jeffreycastle.com, and listen to some of his music. It is just absolutely amazing. He's all over YouTube. You just have to type his name in, and it's GEOFFREY. In fact, I'll post that up. I'll put this on the link here too. Jeffrey Castle. And just do a YouTube on him and see the stuff he can actually, what he does. The creativity of this gentleman is just absolutely second to none. He's just amazing. So anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude and finish up this evening. I hope to see you tomorrow. Tell everybody that you know, have them tune in if they really want to get an idea of what it's like to listen to someone who, well, as Brian would say, he can fiddle. Let's put it that way. That boy can fiddle. So thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Thank you. And for posting the link. But yeah, go there. Look at some of the CDs he's got, and then bounce over to YouTube, Jeffrey Castle, and listen to some of his stuff. It's just absolutely impressive. And with that, folks, have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow, okay? Have a great one. Thanks a million. Bye, y'all.